Travis Branham had a tweet that shook my soul before the weekend, and we've waited like 3 days to talk about this cart. Travis Branham tweeted, there are 8 teams, there are at least 8 teams that will have a $10 million plus roster in college basketball next season per 24/7 sports sources. It's a big time number, $10 million for a college basketball roster. I saw a bunch of big people, big accounts interact with this. I think Ryan Hammer was trying to guess who the 8 teams are. I think Goodman quote tweeted this, and I want to say said something along the lines of, I think this number is closer to 15 teams, which I think I agree with. So I want your general reaction to the idea that 8 teams are building a $10 million roster. And then I want to try and guess who some of those teams could be.
Well, honestly, my first reaction was in line with like what Goodman and some others said. Eight's way too low. Eight is way too low. I think 15 at minimum is where I would go with this, given the kind of money that we're seeing thrown around to a lot of people in the portal right now. It seems that if you if you're a starter on a high major team, you are damn near earning $1 million. Like that's a starting point. So and that's just for like the bare minimum starter, I feel like at this point. So I'd be surprised if one, it's the number isn't larger than that, and two, moving forward, might be the standard unless like things are changed. Like you're not going to be able to compete, I don't think, unless you have a roster that's made up of, that type of money.
Yeah, I hear that. It's definitely becoming an expensive sport, an expensive man's game, you could say. However, I don't like using like you're not going to be able to compete if you don't do this. I think we see exceptions to that all the time. It's going to be harder, don't get me wrong. Like we're already seeing it way down on the mid-major level a lot. The best mid-major players are just leaving. I can't imagine trying to be a head coach at that level. But I think there's exceptions to the rule every year. Like Michigan State's roster wasn't a $10 million roster last year. They could have won a national championship.
Maybe compete's the wrong word. I think you're gonna have to be in that realm though if you want to cut down nets.
To do it annually, I think that's the key. Like any given year, will there be 3 to 4 teams that don't have $10 million that are trying to do it? Yeah, absolutely there will be. Purdue was a couple years ago. Purdue probably will be next year. Michigan State was this year. Honestly, it's a lot of Big Ten schools. I'm sure we could find other examples outside of this conference, but I think the point is doing it year in, year out. Like if you are a school or a program that is putting $10 million into your roster annually, you feel pretty damn good that you're going to have a chance to win a national title every single year. And I do think it's showing like who is prioritizing basketball in that way. Now, there's a lot of different things that go into this too. Like you have to have the actual resources, you have to have donors that are willing to fund this, but you also have to have a coach that's competent. Speaking personally from my program, like Michigan as an institution, I think has been capable of raising funds in this realm, but didn't have the people running the show to do it until recently, and now they do. They're also benefiting a little bit from the football equation there, maybe a lot of bit from the football equation there, and that trickling down to basketball. But I do think there's like North Carolina is a good example of this. I don't think North Carolina is short on money right now. I don't think North Carolina is going to be spending $10 million on their team. And I think that probably comes from some decision makers that are not exactly optimizing the spends. That's how I felt during the Juwan Howard era at Michigan. I feel like that's happening in North Carolina. I feel like it might be happening elsewhere. To an extent, I would say it's happening at Michigan State. I don't think Michigan State is spending their full arsenal of resources right now. And one day maybe they will, and we'll see that brand look a little bit differently. But anyways, so I guess you and I are both taking the over if it's 8 teams that reportedly have a $10 million roster this year. You think it's actually more than that?
Ooh, okay. So the framing of that though, now that I look back on it, actually has a $10 million roster. Because
This year. This
there's
year.
people that can have it, but who's gonna have it this year?
Like when the
I get
ball is tipped in November
the
and you have
ball
a
is
spreadsheet.
tipped. Your roster's 5 million.
You made 10 million bucks.
Who you gonna spend? All right. Oh, ooh, morning voice there. My bad there, folks. I actually would take the under
Oh, so you're playing a little skepticism
a
here.
little bit,
Okay.
because I think there's a lot of schools that have the ability to spend 10 million on a roster, but I don't know if they actually one will or get there. Like they could have a $10 million budget, right? They could say, I'm gonna give player A, B, C, D, E all millions each. Bam, there you have $10 million roster. But those players could go elsewhere. They could take another 500K to go play somewhere else. I don't know. I feel like it's honestly, it might be a little bit hard to accumulate a $10 million roster if if you're going after certain guys you target.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good read by you, actually. Yeah, it's one thing, like you said, it's one thing to have access to that and say we could do this. It's another to actually do it. And I will say this, I've made this point in private channels in our Discord a little bit. Just because you have it, I'm always a fan of overspending, overpaying, but it would be overpaying to build the $10 million roster in the sport this year. Let's just be real about it, Cart. If you actually have a roster with 15 guys or however many guys on scholarship by November that you put in list form and it adds up to $10 million what you're paying them, you spent a couple $1 million at least on guys that don't deserve a couple $1 million. That's just how this works. Unless you actually go out and land like four of the top 10 players in the portal at $3 million each, then kudos to you. Good job. I haven't seen anybody do that. It's probably more in the realm of like Trey Holloman's getting millions of dollars. How many Trey Hollamans are on your roster? Just because you have $10 million doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get $10 million worth of value. So I think that's a good distinction from you. And not to throw Holloman under the bus, go get paid. I'm a fan of players going and getting paid, but I just think there will be some teams that even if they hit this threshold, we'll probably look back on like, how did they spend $10 million on that team? It's crazy. So, all right, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Hammer. Ryan Hammer went through and said, here's three for sure, and then here's five best guesses, trying to guess the eight teams that will have a $10 million roster. He said
Okay.
for sure BYU, Louisville, Arkansas. Best guesses St. John's, Indiana, Alabama, Kentucky, and then either Kansas or Kansas State. I think all of these programs are good shouts, but out of the for sure group, BYU, Louisville, Arkansas, I only think two of those are for sure. Do you agree? We interrupt this sleepers video to talk directly to you, our loyal listener. Have you ever found yourself watching us two idiots thinking, hey, I wish there was a very easy, small way for me to show a token of my appreciation for all of their hard work on all these videos I love to watch? Well, now we have just the way to do that.
Thanks to the beautiful folks over at Underdog Fantasy. They are helping us out this month, presenting a lot of the content coming out this month, giving you a chance with a amazing offer that you can use using our promo code that Gregory will tell you more about.
Yeah, so college hoop season's over, but we got like big time golf tournaments. The NBA playoffs are coming. Baseball season's underway. There's still a bunch of sports on. There's still a bunch of ways to play with Underdog Fantasy. Promo code SLEEPERS. As a new customer, you can get up to 1,000 bonus credits plus a free pick. It's one of the most fun ways to play. It's a great way to support us. And on some actual like non-ad read stuff, talking genuinely here, really helps us because if Underdog loves us, if we get a lot of people to sign up, they're going to help us continue to bring you the content that you love. Show your support. Join Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code SLEEPERS. Get up to $1,000 in bonus credits and a free pick.
Yeah, I had to unblock Ryan. I got upset with him last week. He sent the picture out, said great off season so far, and he's drinking water out of a coconut. I didn't know what to do with that. I was upset I wasn't in that position. I lashed out a little bit, so now time for me to get back with my dog Ryan real quick. Let me check this tweet here. Okay, so the for sure's, I think he has two right. I think
BYU, yes.
BYU and
Louisville,
Louisville.
yes.
Yes, 100%.
No questions asked. Those teams will have a $10 million roster next year. BYU
Louisville
might
might
have
Louisville
already
might have a
spent.
$10 million backcourt.
BYU, I believe, spent close to $10 million combined on DeBanza and Rob Wright.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to pay Richie Saunders to come back, and they're still trying to pay some other big names.
Yep.
Louisville is spending multi-million dollars on like five different guys that are already on the roster. That's happening. Arkansas might have access to it until I start to see the roster come together. It doesn't feel like they're for sure going to hit 10 million. You
Yeah,
agree?
like so I'm sure they are paying a pretty penny for Acuff and Thomas, the two freshmen. Um,
That's true. That might be 5 million just there.
yeah,
Hanging.
that's because I feel like that's what you got to throw in here too. These people or these schools that have these big classes, like a lot of top five players. Like
Allegedly,
honestly,
also, allegedly. All numbers are allegedly.
yeah, all numbers are legit. Like if you look at it, Duke probably should be thrown out here just because. Well, actually, never mind. I'm sorry. No one goes to Duke for money. It's all brotherhood and LinkedIn connections. My apologies.
Duke not being on here seems crazy to me.
Especially because like they might have to like pay to keep people too, right? Like Isaiah Evans and Big Pat and them are probably like, I want it back. Also, did you see the Isaiah Evans stuff?
It sounds like they might not keep Isaiah Evans, so yeah,
Funny. But
maybe.
yeah, I feel like Duke would be up here.
Okay. Yeah, the more we talk it through, if they're going to lose Isaiah Evans, maybe they're not. Maybe it is just the Brotherhood. Best guess. So right now we have BYU, Louisville. We think so. Ryan has St. John's on the list. I like that shout because they're after every big name in the portal with $1 million offers. It seems like St. John's probably hits that threshold at some point. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like St. John's there. Indiana is one of Ryan's guesses. Indiana is one that I think has access to $10 million. dollars. I don't think Darren DeVries is building a $10 million roster.
Yeah. I don't think
Dog, they
so
have
either.
three players right now, and their new target's a Division III center, a community college kid. He's not spending $10 million right now, maybe next year, but for this year's roster, no way.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think it's one of those ones that has the ability, but it's not doing so.
Also, I'm putting Indiana boosters and Indiana money on Fraud Watch officially. They're always put on these lists and it's always special. I know they spent big money under Woodson. My assumption would be that they're not immediately resourcing Darren DeVries in a huge way. They want to see something first. Based on the targets he's after, he's not even involved in some of the biggest names in the portal right now.
Yeah, but you got to give him funding to see where he's going to be at though too.
But so are they not giving him funding?
I'm assuming no
So
because
then Indiana money's on Fraud Watch.
yes, Indiana money's on Fraud Watch.
That's where I'm at. If you're supposed to be the big power player, right now you have three players and you're targeting a community college center, you don't get to sit here and be like, we have $10 million.
Yeah, no. Once they lost Conwell to me, I put their money on Fraud Watch.
Yeah, let's up the offers and let's get back to the $10 million threshold. Right now, Indiana's not operating like that. Alabama, Kentucky, Kansas, Kansas State. Bama seems iffy to me right now.
Kentucky seems like it should be there.
Kentucky should be there. They might be well distributed too. Like they might be like 1 million per guy instead
Yeah,
of 3 million for everybody, but Kentucky will get there. So
yep.
right, we agree BYU, Louisville, Kentucky. Kansas, I would say normally, but the guys they're after this year are weird, but we got to put Kansas on the list, right?
I think there's going to be a lot tied up in Badunga and Darren Peterson.
True.
Still got people to add.
Last year they had a $10 million roster, I would bet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jaden Dawson and Trey White were actually 1 million each.
Okay. So let's put Kansas on the list. Do you want to put Kansas State on the list? Do we think Tang's still like that?
I don't think so. No, not given who the rest of the roster's shaping up to be.
Okay. So $10 million roster officially on our list right now. BYU, Louisville, St. John's, Kansas, Kentucky. We have five. That would come in a little bit under the eight. Are there any names of schools we haven't named that Ryan didn't put on his list that you think will have a $10 million roster next season?
Your school.
I was going to say, I think Michigan gets there.
I think Michigan should be on there. I actually think Texas Tech might go through that threshold as well.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, if they get Darion Williams back for sure.
What's the deal with like Florida, Houston, Auburn?
Ooh.
Final four teams, a couple of SEC schools. I would assume they are not lacking for funding, but also like they're in rebuild mode. We don't really know.
Auburn, I think, gets there if they get Sahad back.
Could be.
Yeah. Houston actually sneaky. I think they might have a $10 million roster
Really?
because they're
That's
gonna.
one I feel like they don't have the reputation of that, but maybe.
But like I'm thinking you get Uzan back, you get Sharp back. Um, you have a lot of high profile freshmen. I know they paid a pretty penny for Sinak. Um, I think that they could possibly be in that threshold as well. I'm looking through the list here. Why do I feel like Arizona's a sneaky team?
I'm gonna say Arizona could be in the mix. So I here's maybe in summary, here's where I'm at. I think there's about 15 to 20 schools that are in the realm that if everything broke right, if they needed the money, they could fund a $10 million roster. I think
Mm,
that number is honestly probably 15 to 20 schools. And then I think for next season, we're probably only at like five or six that actually get there. And then I think my general thought is that the bubble's going to burst at some point. I don't think we're going to see this be the case every year going forward. I think guys are getting really overpaid and the market will crash at some point.
yeah, I would like for, you know, I think one of the metrics people needs to step up. I mean, we have everything, net rating, offensive rating, adjusted tempo. Would love like adjusted roster salary to be something I could sort by.
Sounds like an Evan Mia thing because right now he has how much each player should be valued. He has like player valuations that he added to his sheet. It's great. But yeah, I feel like by the end of the season when rosters are built, Evan could just have like a total roster valuation. Be fun.
Might need that.
There's a chance that Michigan ends up number one on that list, by the way, because Evan Mia loves every Michigan player in the portal.
I'll be there.
You'll be there.
I'll be there.